That changed when test results came back. Piper had adult antidepressants in her system, along with teradrozoline, a toxic chemical commonly...
I can't believe a father would actually go this far just to cover his tracks. We have to see how he got caught.
Hunsucker was walked into the courtroom Monday in an orange jumpsuit. He showed no emotion. Stacy's family also seated on the benches.
According to prosecutors, her husband, former paramedic Joshua Lee Hunsucker,
had
her body cremated almost immediately after her death and then filed to collect on her $200,000 life insurance policy. That raised red flags for investigators. Since Stacy had been an organ donor, a blood sample had been taken and was able to be tested.
When 10-year-old Piper Hunsucker suddenly became seriously ill in 23, doctors noticed something strange. Her heart rate was dangerously low, and so was her blood pressure for a girl her age. But at first, no one thought she had been poisoned. That changed when test results came back. Piper had adult antidepressants in her system, along with teradrozoline, a toxic chemical commonly found in eye drops. Now here's the chilling part. That same chemical had been...
So you're telling me that you gave your daughter toxic chemical that will support help for your eye? You're not actually supposed to eat. What is wrong with you?
Found years earlier in her mother's blood. In 2018, Piper's mom, Stacy Hunsucker, died under mysterious circumstances after suffering the very same symptoms. And now, 5 years later, while her husband, Joshua Hunsucker, was still out on bond in her death investigation, their daughter ended up hospitalized with the same unexplained condition. So now the question is, was all of this a tragic coincidence, or was someone trying to finish what they started to pin the crime on someone else? From the outside, 32-year-old Stacy Hunsucker had a picture-perfect life. She had married her high school sweetheart, 39-year-old Joshua Hunsucker, who worked as a flight paramedic with Atrium Health Med Center Air. Stacy and Hunsucker had been together for years before they eventually got married in 2010 and moved into a new home in Mount Holly, North Carolina. Just the perfect American dream.
Just by nothing. Because it's always have to be some way that you die. Alright? Sometimes it can't be natural causes, but if it like out
the most common thing after birth is some women have thyroid problems because the thyroid explodes and kicks in and
right after at the hospital. Anyways, around that same time when Stacy was battling this illness, in July 2013, their house caught fire and the blaze destroyed most of their belongings, leaving the family shaken. Their family and friends later stepped in to help, and a GoFundMe campaign was started to support the family as Stacy's medical bills continued to grow. But things got even worse for the family. After the birth of their second daughter, Willow, in 2014, Stacy was hospitalized again, this time with dangerously low heart rate and blood pressure that landed her in the ICU.
Why did you get pregnant the first time? No, second time, I mean. If y'all know that y'all already had a problem with the first kid, why get pregnant again? That made no sense at all.
For Stacy was given a pacemaker to support her failing heart, which even doctors said didn't make any sense for
a woman of her age already having complicated heart failure and then gotta have a pacemaker. I can see you like once you got your older age, probably that. Cause once you get older, you start having complications. That one I see. But at that age, I don't know
exactly what happens after birth in 25, maybe 30% of men.
That can probably happen. I think.
So bad.
I don't really know, but I have
a pacemaker in an
And from that, on September 23rd, 2018, Hunsucker called 911 and reported that he had found his 32-year-old wife not breathing and blue. First responders arrived quickly and rushed her to the hospital. Doctors couldn't save her this time. Stacy Hunsucker was pronounced dead upon arrival. Now, given her medical history, the cause of death seemed obvious. She had supposedly known heart problems and had been living with a pacemaker for years, so this was just a tragic ending after a long medical struggle. For that reason, there was no further investigation into her health. But while everyone else accepted that explanation, one person couldn't shake the feeling that something was not right. Stacy's mother, Suzanne Robinson, had watched her daughter suffer these past years without any answers, and now suddenly she was gone. At first, Suzanne didn't accuse anyone.
with no answer and no conclusion to how. Alright, we still looking for the how. We see the we still don't even see the why. Like, we see a what, like, or it could what, or heart feeling, right? But we still don't get the how or the why.
But as months passed, she started piecing together all the small details that had been ignored. And by May 2019, 9 months after Stacy died, Suzanne made a decision that would quietly change everything. She contacted the North Carolina Department of Insurance and filed a complaint accusing her son-in-law of insurance fraud. But that call reopened a case everyone thought was over, and it set in motion an investigation that would come.
I'm telling y'all, what I was thinking, right, is this. Alright, picture this, right? Like, picture the son-in-law poisoning his wife and everything, because I think that the grandparents, had put like a loan or a, not loan, it's something called like a, what is that? Hey, I forgot. Like some type of money you put, so if you die, then who get that money? So I think it's something that the grandparents put on her while father did what he didn't. But it's gotta be kind of money.
The story of how right after Stacy was pronounced dead, Hunsucker was the one who had to explain what happened. And that's where the first problem started. So initially he told the police that before he found his wife unresponsive, he had stepped outside to make sure their cars were locked because there had been recent break-ins in the neighborhood. But that was not the end. Hunsucker would go on to change his story several times. He told one friend that he had gone for a walk to burn off some energy, and to another he said he had been outside cutting wood for crafting projects. Then, to Stacy's mother, he told yet another version that he had.
At that point, the story don't match up. But how you gonna tell one friend, oh, you been outside and getting a little stroll, a little walk, and then you been outside cutting wood? So now it makes sense. You did this. Now it makes sense. You didn't, and you try to make up a lie so nobody can know that you killed your wife.
Been sitting at the kitchen table working on his laptop and only noticed something was wrong when he turned around and saw Stacy slumped over on the couch. That's 4 different versions of the same event. And the problem with that is when someone is telling the truth about a horrific event, like discovering a loved one dead, the details usually don't change like that because the moment is burned.
No one is thinking she ain't solving no wrong. Cause if you see your loved one or somebody you love, then you don't change up the story. You stick to one story and you keep that one story the whole time and you don't switch up every time. So for him to be switching up with 4 different stories in the first few hours is ridiculous.
To their memory. But at this time, no one really paid much attention to the inconsistencies of his story. But his behavior in the days that followed only made things even more suspicious. So after Stacy's death, Hunsucker refused to allow a coroner to perform an autopsy on her. This was very unusual on its own, but what made it worse was that Stacy was a registered organ donor. Even then, Joshua insisted he did not want her body examined because according to him, he didn't want her cut up, which made absolutely no sense. But as if that wasn't bad enough, Hunsucker hurriedly cremated Stacy's body, completely destroying any chance of further medical examination. This happened just 48 hours after Stacy's death, and within the same window period, Hunsucker filed claims on 2 insurance policies totaling $250, whom they believed he was having an affair with prior to his wife's death.
That's huge, red flag. Huge.
And a half. Before I can actually get over the death of someone I love. But for him to actually immediately get over the death of his wife like that, and then move on with a new girl out the blue, is ridiculous. Now we actually figuring out what is going on.
Definitely be interested in interviewing this girlfriend, and I would definitely be interested in talking with her because there may be some bedroom talk. You know, they may be in this together. This could be a conspiracy.
Honestly, it does actually seem like a conspiracy. It was as though this dude had already moved on long before his wife actually died. And according to court documents, within just 6 months of Stacy's death, Hunsucker's new girlfriend was visual in his and his 2 young children's lives. This quickly, he had moved on with his girlfriend. For For Stacy's mother, Susie Robinson, these suspicious behaviors became more unsettling with each passing day. She believed Joshua had killed her daughter for the insurance money and freedom, and she was not going to let him get away with it. So because Stacy had been a registered organ donor, a vial of her blood had been preserved before her body was cremated. Investigators obtained the blood sample and sent it for testing, but shockingly, the initial toxicology screening came back negative. But they didn't give up. They requested expanded testing for substances that wouldn't normally appear on standard toxicology screens. And that decision changed everything. The lab results showed extraordinarily high levels of tetrahydrozoline, a chemical found in over-the-counter eye drops and nasal sprays. The concentration was between 30 and 40 times the therapeutic.
30 and 40 times. So, how many times you been did he probably slip it in her drink and her bread milk? I don't know how he slipped it in her, body without her knowing, because there's no way you slipped that and she didn't notice anything about that.
Now here's the thing. When this is used as directed, applied to the eyes or the nose, it's considered relatively safe. But when it's swallowed, it affects the heart and blood pressure.
So that's why you're not supposed to, like, difficulty breathing, your blood pressure may be low, heart rate may speed up or slow down. And if you ingested a large amount, it is possible you can go into a coma.
The most chilling part is that those symptoms closely mimic.
Now the crazy thing about that, right, y'all, is one of them, you probably might be good about it, but more than one, you're not good. If you have more than one of them drink down your body, you ain't good.
Natural heart problems, which Stacy initially had after the birth of their first child, before her situation deteriorated over time. So with the evidence at this point, investigators were able to determine that Joshua Hunsucker poisoned his wife over a period of time by putting eye drops in her beverages. He was the only person who could have done it without raising suspicion. He had years of medical training and
I'm telling y'all, I didn't see this video at all, and there's no way I actually got that right. I'm telling y'all, like, I thought it could have been no way he put all that in her and kill her like that. I said, nah, he had to put in her drink or something. And I didn't know he actually did that. I thought he did something.
Stacy Hunsucker's family believed that Hunsucker got inspiration from a similar case that received heavy media coverage in the same region where Hunsucker lived and worked. Just weeks before Stacy died, a South Carolina nurse named Lana Sue Clayton had been arrested for fatally poisoning her husband after toxicology reports found high levels of tetrahydrozoline in his body. Stacy Hunsucker died on September 23rd, less than a month later.
Wait a minute. That makes sense from his. So now it's like issue, but it's still the same thing.
Multi-millionaire husband with eye drops.
In December 20.
But we still need the why he didn't. Why?
Because despite the charges, Joshua was about to be released back. What he did next would prove just how much of a monster this guy is.
Wait, what?
So, in November 2019, just weeks before Hunsucker's murder arrest, Hunsucker did something almost unbelievable. Hunsucker was working aboard a medical helicopter when a piece of equipment caught fire mid-air. The pilot was forced to make an emergency landing at a car dealership, but thankfully, no one was injured. His Imperium Health fired him.
But don't tell me somebody actually bailed him out from that.
And just 5 days later, on Christmas Eve 2019, Joshua walked out of jail. And that's where this case took an unexpected turn. Almost immediately, he began harassing Stacy's parents, Suzanne and John Robinson. According to court documents, he was recording and photographing the couple at Piper's lacrosse practices, making vulgar gestures towards them in public, and hanging out in their church's parking lot while they attended services. To make matters worse, his daughters were often present during these confrontations. He simply didn't care. But that wasn't even the worst of it. In February 2023, Joshua contacted the police with a shocking claim that he had been kidnapped. According to his story, he had stopped to change a tire when he was attacked, pistol whipped, zip-tied, and drugged. But guess who he later identified as the attacker? His former father-in-law, John Robinson. But after much investigation, police found no evidence to support any part of his story.
Why are you doing this? You already been in jail twice, and you're still doing this mess up, conniving scheme. Stop
it became very clear that Hunsucker staged his own kidnapping to shift suspicion for
Oh my
Stacy's death
God.
onto her parents. But even then, Joshua wasn't done.
my
Just
God.
weeks after the alleged kidnapping, his eldest daughter became gravely ill. She was rushed to the hospital with symptoms that...
Hold on. So now we see the why. No, we still not seeing the why. We see the why he trying not put the killing of his wife on him. And now we seeing another killing the same way as his wife died. So now it making really sense.
Immediately terrified
Making good
doctors.
sense right
According
now.
to court documents, she had low blood pressure, low heart rate, sleepiness, and extreme
That's the same
exhaustion,
symptom
constricted
as
blood vessels,
her
and
mother.
transient alertation of awareness, or a brief loss of normal awareness or behavior. All of her symptoms were the same as those her mother had suffered years ago before her tragic death. And behold, lab tests later revealed that the child had tetrahydrazine in her system, the same chemical found in Stacy's blood. On top of that, doctors also detected an antidepressant that isn't prescribed for children in her system. Investigators would later find a pill matching that medication in Hunsucker's truck. But Hunsucker still tried to control the narrative. He told medical...
And good thing that some doctor knew what been wrong with her. Because if the doctor didn't know what was wrong with her from the start, I don't even think she would be alive. Alright? Now, with the mother, the doctor didn't know that he put the eye drop or no nasal in her drink every time. So they didn't know that until it was already too late.
That it looked like his daughter had been poisoned with eye drops. Prosecutors said that conclusion made no sense, given the information available at the time. Instead, investigators came to a far more disturbing conclusion. They believe Joshua poisoned his own daughter to frame Stacy's parents and permanently remove them from his children's lives. In July 2024, a judge formally ruled that Hunt used his daughter and neglected both children. Shortly after, he was arrested again on fresh charges, and this time the court didn't take any chances.
Hunsucker bonded out in December of 2019 and was out of jail until August of this year, when new charges were filed against him, accusing Hunsucker of
One thing I still don't get is how you get out of jail the first time and then still did the same mess up, put it all on the grandparent the second time, didn't get out of jail, right? And then you did it all over again to put blame on the grandparent again. For the third time. And it all lead up to the same case. It all lead up to the first murder. They all lead up to the first murder.
This intimidation and obstruction of justice, filing an order to revoke his initial bond.
For Stacy's parents, the fight never stopped. They released a statement promising they will not rest until justice is served. In a heartfelt message, the couple wrote, "Stacy, your mother and father promise that we will not rest until justice is served. We will do everything in our power to support and care for your beautiful daughters. We will love them as we love and still love you. We will never let your children forget what a truly amazing mother you were to them. Your spirit and your smile live on through them every day." Now, while Hunsucker's sister currently has custody, Suzanne and John Robinson are still fighting to bring their granddaughters home. At the center of this is a horrifying reality. This monster was willing to poison his wife, terrorize her parents, stage crimes, and even harm his own child, all to avoid accountability. And as this case moves toward the trial, one question still...
Take accountability of his actions, take accountability that he was the one who tried to kill his daughter, and he was the one who killed his wife. So he tried to put all blame, like the grandparents did all this, grandparents said all this, grandparents made him do. Nobody made you do that. Nobody can force you to do that. Now, if they had a weapon on you, force you. If they had a weapon,
hangs in the air for a mother's instinct and a single preserved vial of blood. How long would all of this have gone unnoticed?
Wrap it up for this one. If you find this helpful, hit that subscribe circle right in the top corner. so you don't miss next week's drop. If you want to dive deeper into this topic, I put together a full playlist right here. Otherwise, you do things you love this special video.
Misunderstood, so misunderstood. My temper is bad, my mission is good. I never be labeled as good.